In Burlington, Vermont, Theodore Robert Bundy made his entrance into the world on November 24, 1946. Little did anyone know that this seemingly ordinary baby would grow up to become one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. Ted Bundy's early years were shrouded in mystery and deception. Born to Eleanor Louise Cowell, a young woman struggling to find her place in the world, Bundy was initially raised by his maternal grandparents, Samuel and Eleanor Cowell. To shield their family from the stigma of unwed motherhood, they presented Bundy with a fabricated narrative that his mother was his sister and his grandparents were his parents. This elaborate lie created a tangled web of familial confusion and emotional turmoil for Bundy, planting seeds of instability that would later blossom into something far more sinister. Despite the facade of normalcy, Bundy's childhood was far from typical. He exhibited signs of troubling behavior from an early age, such as fascination with knives and cruelty to animals, red flags that went unnoticed or dismissed by those around him. As he entered adolescence, Bundy's charming demeanor and keen intellect masked a growing darkness within him, a darkness that would eventually consume him. In 1967, Bundy left Vermont behind and ventured westward to attend the University of Washington in Seattle. It was here that he began to hone his skills of manipulation and deceit, blending seamlessly into campus life while secretly harboring dark desires beneath the surface. Despite his outward charm and intelligence, Bundy struggled to form meaningful connections with others, instead opting to maintain a facade of normalcy while concealing the true depths of his depravity. The early 1970s marked the beginning of Bundy's descent into madness. As he roamed the streets of Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, and Florida, he preyed upon young women with chilling precision. His modus operandi was as calculated as it was brutal. He would approach his victims in public places, often posing as a friendly stranger or a person in need of assistance. Once he gained their trust, he would lead them to secluded areas where he unleashed his twisted fantasies in acts of unspeakable violence. The details of Bundy's crimes are as horrifying as they are numerous. He confessed to the murders of at least 30 women, though authorities suspect the true number of his victims may exceed 100. His crimes were characterized by extreme brutality, including rape, mutilation, and necrophilia. Some victims were abducted before their murders, their lives snuffed out in the prime of youth by a man consumed by his own monstrous desires. The aftermath of Bundy's killing spree left a trail of devastation in its wake. Families were torn apart, communities were gripped by fear, and law enforcement agencies scrambled to apprehend a man whose very existence seemed to defy comprehension. The media frenzy surrounding Bundy's crimes reached a fever pitch during his highly publicized trial in 1979, which became one of the first nationally televised trials in American history. Despite his attempts to manipulate the narrative and portray himself as a victim of circumstance, Bundy's guilt was undeniable, and he was sentenced to death for his heinous crimes. On January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy's reign of terror came to a sudden and definitive end. After spending years on death row, he was executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison, leaving behind a legacy of horror and despair that continues to haunt the collective consciousness of a nation. The story of Ted Bundy serves as a grim reminder of the depths of human depravity and the devastating impact that serial killers can have on communities. It is a cautionary tale about the consequences of unchecked psychological issues and the need for vigilance in protecting vulnerable members of society. And yet, amidst the darkness of Bundy's crimes, there are lessons to be learned, lessons about the power of resilience, the importance of empathy, and the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of unspeakable evil. Thank you for tuning in to another captivating true crime tale from AI Plot Twists. Be sure to explore the description below for further details and insights into this narrative.